With the first pick in the 2014 NBA Draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Andrew Wiggins from Toronto.
The Cleveland Cavaliers picked the small forward out of Kansas, Andrew Wiggins, who had a lot of potential. However, he just really didn't have a spot on this team because LeBron James came back the same summer. They would end up dealing him to the Timberwolves for Kevin Love, which you could say worked out for both teams because Wiggins is an efficient player on Minnesota and Kevin Love helped Cleveland get their first title. Overall, I'd give Cleveland an A+ on this because, well, it resulted in a ring.
Jabari Parker from Duke University.
Jabari Parker has played pretty well when he is healthy, but the only problem is he's not healthy very often. Missing his entire second season and just a lot of games in his 4-year stint with the Bucks, they decided to move on from him, and well, he just hasn't been efficient anywhere else. He did average 15 points per game in Milwaukee, which is pretty good, but the players after him were much better, and he didn't really work out in Milwaukee as he's already gone. So for this pick, I have to give the Bucks a D.
Joel Embiid from Yaoundé, Cameroon.
To keep things short, the 76ers had a grand slam by picking Joel Embiid. Arguably the best center in the league today, and no doubt in my mind he was the best player to come out of this draft. He honestly would have gone number 1 if it wasn't for his nagging foot injury that led the Cavaliers to go elsewhere. The 76ers get an A+ for this pick as they found a dominant big man for the future.
Aaron Gordon from the University of Arizona.
Aaron Gordon is a good player, don't get me wrong. He's averaging 16 points per game this season, and the Magic are on the cusp of making the playoffs for the first time since the Dwight Howard era. But the Magic didn't need another big man. They needed a guard, which is why I'm giving them a C on this pick. Don't get me wrong, Aaron Gordon's a good player and a lot of teams would love to have him, but they just didn't need him. They needed another guard. Their forwards are fine. They're good down low. They've drafted that the past, 5 drafts it feels like? So they get a C for this one. Not because of the player, but because of the position.
Dante Exum from Melbourne, Australia.
To keep things simple, this pick has just not worked out. Dante Exum is injury prone, and while he's only 23, the Jazz don't look like they have faith in him. He's never averaged more than 7 points in a season as a pro. And yeah, I'm going to have to go ahead and give the Jazz a big fat F for this pick, the first F I've given out, because, well, he just never worked out, and it doesn't look like he will.
Marcus Smart from Oklahoma State University.
The Celtics got a very gritty, tough, hard-nosed basketball player that you would have seen back in the 70s or 80s, and Marcus Smart with the 6th pick overall. He's been a pretty good player for them. I wouldn't say he's worthy of the 6th pick, but they definitely use him to his advantage. He's a very good defender, so I'd give the Celtics a good old B on this one. They found a very good role player for them, and he's a little above a role player. I shouldn't say that, but they found a very solid player in Marcus Smart.
Julius Randle from the University of Kentucky.
Now, it's really hard to grade this one because Julius Randle, if he stayed with the Lakers, this would be an A. He's a fantastic player. But he didn't. They let him walk in free agency. So I can only give the Lakers a C+ here. Great player, but they let him walk just as he was peaking. Lakers really let a good one go here.
Nick Stauskas from Mississauga, Canada.
Now I know these highlights are in Cleveland, but he was actually taken by Sacramento, and he was the biggest bust of the lottery. He's just not a very good player. Not much to talk about. He's an F. That's why Sacramento hasn't made the playoffs in so long. Picks like these. But hey, they might be 500 this year.
Noah Vonleh from Indiana University.
Alright, well, Noah Vonleh might just be the bust of the draft, but Nick Stauskas saves him. The dude has not had a good career, let's just keep it honest. The Hornets tried to get some pieces around Kemba Walker, it just hasn't worked. This was another flat F, a terrible pick by the Hornets. He didn't last very long there.
Elfrid Payton from the University of Louisiana Lafayette.
With the 10th pick in the draft, the Philadelphia 76ers took point guard Elfrid Payton but dealt him to the Orlando Magic on draft night in exchange for the Orlando Magic's 12th overall pick, Dario Saric. We will get into the dynamics of that, but we have to grade the 76ers pick here since they are the team that picked Elfrid Payton. Noting that they traded him for Dario Saric, who was a very solid player for them and actually ended up getting them Jimmy Butler in the long run, I would give them an A- on this trade. Really turned something into nothing out of that, getting a really, really good superstar in Jimmy Butler.
Doug McDermott from Creighton University.
Now, Doug McDermott was actually drafted by the Nuggets and was traded to the Bulls on draft night. However, we are regrading the teams that drafted, not the trades and stuff. Well, the Nuggets have to get a B+ here because while trading Doug McDermott, that ended up getting them Gary Harris, who still plays for them today. And by the way, they are second in the Western Conference, while Harris is a solid starter, so you could say that worked out.
Dario Saric from Šibenik, Croatia.
Now, Saric was taken by the Orlando Magic, and you know they did not need another big man, as we talked about earlier in this video, so they ended up trading him to the 76ers for guard Elfrid Payton, as we talked about a little earlier. Now, I gotta say, keeping Saric would have been the better move in this situation, even though they needed a guard. Saric has come out to be a very good player. Well, I don't know if I could say very good, but a pretty solid player. He ended up getting traded from the 76ers to the Timberwolves for Jimmy Butler, so you could say the Timberwolves really got a good player out of that, and the 76ers got a superstar. Overall, for the Orlando Magic, I would grade this pick a D+. Because, well, they didn't get anything out of him. They got Elfrid Payton, who isn't on the team anymore. It just didn't work out for them in that exchange.
Zach LaVine from UCLA.
In my opinion, this is definitely the most interesting selection in the 2014 lottery. Zach LaVine was drafted by the Timberwolves and played there for a couple of seasons, winning one of the greatest dunk contests of all time, and he looked like he was a blossoming star, but the Timberwolves wanted to win now as their fans grew impatient. So they dealt him for Jimmy Butler. The Timberwolves gave up a good player and they knew that, but they thought, hey, we'll win now. Well, if you keep up with the NBA, the Jimmy Butler thing didn't work out, and well, Zach LaVine has gone on to be a very, very good player and honestly looking like he will become a star in Chicago. Honestly, if they would have held on to him, the Timberwolves would be a very scary team right now. But hey, the front office made a mistake, gave up a very good young player, and for that, I can only give them a C- on this pick. Great player, but they didn't keep him.
TJ Warren from North Carolina State University.
The Suns actually made a very, very good selection here with TJ Warren at number 14. He is still on the team, which not a lot of these players are on their teams that were drafted in 2014 in the lottery, and he's averaging 18 points a game this season, so honestly, TJ Warren probably should have gone higher. He's a very productive player, and this season he's flashing. Granted, it is a struggling Suns team that doesn't have a ton of options outside of Devin Booker, but you got to give the man his credit. He is balling. Overall, I would give the Suns an A on this pick. It's really hard to find a guy at 14 that can put up 18 points per game, but the Suns did just that.